Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of The New Frontier. I'm here with Max. Max, how are you doing?
I am excited, and I know we say this every week, but I am genuinely excited this week.
I
But
know,
why
I
don't you,
know.
why don't you tell
So,
us why?
yeah, I think this guest is pretty awesome. So, actually, before we get to the exciting part, dear listeners, me and Max have a very big request for you guys. You enjoy our content. We can see it from the stats because we're both geeks and we check out that on the daily. But you do not engage with us enough. So please do follow us, like, share, comment. Just give us some love back. We know
Mm,
you're there. Just press that
we
big
see you
green,
lurking.
purple, etc. button.
Yeah. Especially, like the podcast has grown to the size now where we're attracting really all-star guests like Joe's about to introduce. So in order to enable us to keep doing that, it helps to follow and subscribe wherever you are listening.
All right. So, are you ready? Drum roll. I am going to introduce our next guest. I'm literally just going to say the first sentence. Our next guest is the head of product for Gen AI at Amazon Ads. He has launched, he led the launch of Amazon's most recent AI creative product, the video generator, which I wrote about not so long ago in the AI for e-commerce newsletter. It looks amazing. And he is unblocking barriers through that in developing video ads for advertisers. So super useful. He has been in Amazon for 12 years. Well done, mate. And he's launched Amazon Post, a social commerce ad product, and has built shopping experiences across Amazon shopping apps on mobile, tablets, wearables, and TV. My God, he has been busy. And prior to Amazon, he has had a stint as in financial modeling at Ernst & Young. He does not look old enough to have done all of that. But without further ado, I introduce to the stage Kabir Bedi. Hi, Kabir.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so
Thanks for
much for
coming.
being our guest. We are so hyped.
Thank you. Thank you. Excited for this conversation.
Awesome. All right. So, I mean, you clearly have been a very busy young man. So, tell us about your journey. So, like, how did you move from financial stuff to marketing at Google and now architecturing whole experiences at Amazon?
Absolutely. I'll take you way back to when I was in university. I studied economics and psychology because I say that because a lot of the product thinking that I do today, working backwards from our users and customers, all stems from my education in psychology. And soon after university, I joined financial services, was doing modeling and financial valuation, but then I wanted to make my way into tech, which I did, and have been now at Amazon for over 12 years in a variety of product roles. And so one of the great things about Amazon is that there's so much flexibility in the type of work that you can really do here. So during my time at Amazon, I spent a bunch of years working on Amazon's various shopping apps, and so these are the apps that you use when you buy something from Amazon on mobile, tablet. I also worked on our wearable apps, TV apps on the Apple TV, Fire TV, and then have been within the ads division for a few years now, currently leading product for our Gen AI applications for advertisers, where they can generate images and videos using a bunch of tools that we've launched, image generator and video generator. And I'm excited to talk about those today. But my overall journey really sort of stems from having studied psychology, being very curious and staying on top of where the market is, where the industry is, always hearing the pulse of the customer and working backwards from that. And I think that's the way to build product.
Do you know what? I have so many friends who studied psychology and then have gone to do some really fantastical things. Like I have a friend who like did like an entire data related agency specifically focusing on reading patterns from customers. So I think psychology has opens a lot of, I guess, mind doors for a lot of great exploration.
Yeah. I guess before
Absolutely.
we jump into the like what you've launched, which is super exciting, and we are honored that you announced it in Cannes, and then you flew back to be with us here on the New Frontier and kind of do the global announcement. But I guess 12 years at Amazon is a crazy long time, and I hope you've kept your shares for most of it. But how have you seen Amazon adapting to all the, like, they've just killed it on every single wave of technology. Amazon has always been on the frontier. Like, what's your reflections on how Amazon does that and continues to adapt?
Yeah. Amazon internally as an organization as well as externally really value its leadership principles, and that's what we often discuss internally as how we build products, how we build teams. And so let me go back to our leadership principles around sort of bias for action, ownership. All of these allow Amazon as an organization, as well as Amazonians internally, to really be sort of leaning in on sort of what are the cutting edge trends in the industry at that time. Customer obsession is sort of by far the most critical one that you'll hear folks talk about when they reference Amazon. And over my 12-year career at the company, I felt that at various inflection points of technology, whether it was a rise of mobile back in, when I worked on it around 2015, 16, 17, then came wearable technologies, sort of then came the rise of, so programmatic advertising. Now it's Gen AI. In all of those scenarios, I think the idea is that how do you identify what are the challenges that your customers are facing? How do you work backwards from that? And then how do you build an organization that rests on a whole bunch of shared understanding principles of how you operate and build products? And I think that model has been successful across a variety of different contexts and sort of waves of technology. Gen AI being the most latest one in that, but I really see that play out over a decade plus career, sort of at the company. And I personally have grown so much immensely as a result of it. I also had a chance to work on so many different types of products, work for different types of contexts and customer, sort of scenarios. And so it's also been just an opportunity of personal growth, enrichment along the way. But I think that really the secret is to hold on to the principles that you value and always working backwards from the customer.
Yeah. If I may add one more question on this, I don't know if you read Andy Jassy's letter to shareholders in 23, when he talked about the building blocks. And this is what I worked for Amazon 6 years, as listeners will hear me say all of the time. And what I thought was brilliant about how Amazon works is kind of they will build these different units and then enable different teams to kind of put them together in different ways. So you have Prime, and you can like layer that on with drone delivery or many different things. And same for like QuickSight and AWS. Like you build these tools that then internal and sometimes external teams can kind of put together in different ways for each different scenario. Do you see that as that flexibility is part of how Amazon can continue to move so quickly?
Absolutely. A great scenario that even shows up in our day-to-day product development process is, all of the services that we have access to through AWS and the types of models that we have access to through Amazon Bedrock, that even allow us to do much faster Gen AI development today. And so I sort of absolutely believe that you build building blocks that are solving very, very distinct problems working backwards from the customer, and then you make that technology available broadly internally as well, that allows other teams to be able to build upon it, and just all of that effort compounds. And then obviously you also in sort of various of these scenarios make that technology available externally for customers as well. So yes, shared architectures, sort of shared technology definitely helps teams internally move faster, test and iterate as well.
Yeah, super fascinating. Kabir, me and you connected over LinkedIn over our passion for AI generated video. We started talking around that.
Yes.
And obviously, a lot of our listeners are Amazon sellers who, struggle with getting content out. So tell us about the new AI video generator. Essentially, what is its story? How did it come about? And also, what are you seeing in terms of how sellers are currently using it?
Absolutely. I am thrilled, I would say, to really share what we most recently released a few weeks ago, which is an enhanced video generator. Let me sort of walk you through about what was the problem that we were trying to solve for advertisers and sellers, and sort of how we did that, and how it's going. The base level challenge is that creating videos requires significant investment from sellers and from advertisers, brands. That could be time investment, money, skill set, energy, etc. And so as a result, you have a lot of brands and sellers that don't end up either creating videos or don't do video advertising, period, because the barrier to entry is too high. We knew that, and really sort of set out to solve that, and in some way democratize video advertising. That's really what we want to do. We want to allow all advertisers, regardless of size, to be able to leverage video advertising, because we know that shoppers love to see video content. Shoppers, sort of in some ways, video content brings all of those products to life, and we don't want that to only be available for brands that can do the upfront investment. So back in November of last year, we launched a video generator in beta, and that was the first version, which was quite cutting edge with the technology that was available back then. And sort of what we learned about was that when that first version that we had launched, it was very good at showing you how a product looked. And so, for example, the way that we generated videos was, perhaps we can show how a microwave looks on a flat surface. That type of technology worked really well for I would say certain categories, home categories, kitchen categories, but it did not take the idea of showing how the product was used in its entirety. So, for example, we wanted to show how does a human wear the watch, rather than just show a watch on a table, or how do you drink a glass of water from the glass, rather than just showing a glass on the table itself. And so over the last few months, we worked on I would say a bunch of science improvements, a bunch of UI improvements, that now have all culminated in this launch that we just had a few weeks ago, an enhanced video generator that now showcases products in use. So, for example, if you are a seller or an advertiser advertising books, we now have the ability to show how your customer may use the book. That means showing the book as it's being read, as compared to just lying on a bookshelf. And so that's been a game changer in my view, because now advertisers of all sizes are truly able to bring their products to life, because now they can show how their products are used and not just how those products look. Along with that, so that's sort of, on the science side, really what we invested in. We also did sort of a bunch of other enhancements. We into these models, we baked in a bunch of Amazon insights. So we have so much understanding about how your product is, what are the key value propositions of the product, any types of assets like images that you provided to Amazon in the past. We've baked all of those into this generation model as well. And so the output is a lot more real, a lot more reflective of your product, etc. We also wanted to ensure that when we launched this, we were really giving advertisers a chance to run experiments, to make it easier for them to start multiple different ad campaigns and see which video is actually performing better. And so we also launched a bunch of UI enhancements. Now we generate 6 videos in under 3 to 4 minutes. And so advertisers can then start A/B tests across all of these to see which ones, which videos performing better than others. So overall, super excited about this launch because we really heard the feedback from advertisers that they wanted videos that really showed the product in use, wanted and to incorporate a whole bunch of Amazon insights and sort of do it in a way that allows much faster A/B testing for them as well.
Amazing, Kabir. Couple of questions, and it's totally fine if these are state secrets, you can't talk about it. We'll move quickly on. But just out of curiosity from what you said there, are you guys training your own base models, or are you using like the latest and greatest available from AWS and fine tuning, or you're not allowed to say?
Well, we use both and so a variety of models because within these video generations there are various steps that have to be done, and so we really tap into the best model that's available for that specific task. Many of those are available on Amazon Bedrock as well, and we our sort of optimization function is always how do we generate the best, highest quality video for the shopper, and that retains the value proposition of the brand and sort of shows the product in its full light for the advertiser. And so a variety of AI techniques as well as models go into that.
Fair enough. And my second quick question, and again, if this is state secrets, we can move on. But we've been talking to customers a long time about AI generated content. I think the number one question or reservation that people will have is hallucinations and distortions. So like the camera moves slightly, and maybe the input doesn't even have the back of the product. So how does it know what's on the back? Maybe it hallucinates something, and that can lead to nervousness about using AI generated content, specifically for video, sometimes in images, but really problematic in video. Like, have you controlled for that? How have you managed that issue?
Yes, absolutely. You're right. So hallucinating content is in some way part and parcel of Gen AI development. But a few things. One is that the models are very, very rapidly improving. And so where we were 6 months ago is very different from where we are today. And I feel very confident that we will just continue making very steadfast improvement in the quality of sort of product fidelity, really actually reducing hallucinations. That's one. Two is we have baked in a bunch of techniques that really lower the probability of that. And so identifying when the hallucinations are happening, how to circumvent, avoid those. And so that is also baked into this model, sort of this tool today. And then 3, I think the other value add is that now we've increased the number of generations that we show advertisers. And so we give a much larger set of advertisers. They click one button and you get 6 videos in 3 to 4 minutes. And so they have more choice. In case any sort of one of those does hallucinate, they have options to go with others. And then we also give them the option to just regenerate, and so they can keep generating videos. And so in sort of conclusion, the rate at which hallucinations are improving rapidly sort of accelerating, but there are also science techniques that we've baked in that overall reduces the likelihood of it. And then if it does happen, give the advertiser enough variety of choice so they can really choose the one that sort of matches their needs the most.
I have to say, like, the fact that you are able to generate 6 videos at the same time is, for me, actually amazing, because from all of the other video tools that I've tested, generally there is like a limit of 2, maximum 4, and then it's actually quite tricky to get either like a few creatives to test, and it just takes a lot of time, or in like one generation you might get both generations that have hallucinations, and so it's frustrating. So I think this is absolutely like super cool design feature that you get so much at the same time. But I want to go back to the end user. I want to go back to the seller. So like, are sellers actually using this? Because this is the thing, like there's so many nice tools out there, and then everybody's like, yay, and nobody uses them. So what have you seen so far?
Yeah, I am personally, having worked on this is what gives me the most pride, is to see how much adoption that we're getting. Sellers and brands are super excited about this tool, and we're seeing that in the data. And so let me talk about what are some of the big use cases that are really sort of standing out to us, and sort of what we're seeing in our data. One is that we, like I mentioned, our sort of objective was to sort of overall democratize video advertising. And we're really seeing that in the data, which is that we're seeing advertisers who had never tried video advertising before, or had never tried video advertising for I would say certain products before, start that. In our most recent sort of data poll, north of about 50% of products that have been advertised using this tool are products that had never used video advertising on Amazon before. And so that really goes back to that message. Making it simple to create videos has really unlocked the opportunity for sellers to advertise, either those that had never tried advertising or had not tried advertising for those ASINs products. So that's one use case, really to help advertisers try sort of video ads for the first time. The second use case that we're seeing a lot of is, if you do video advertising, maybe you do it for your top selling products, but now with a tool like this, you can go far deeper into your catalog. And so, for example, very recently, I was talking to a seller that sells 4,000 SKUs on Amazon. And they said that there's no way that they could possibly generate videos for sort of that large of a catalog. And so they've up till now only been doing video advertising for their head catalog, perhaps their top 20, top 50 products. This tool now gives them the option to really go as deep into the catalog as they want. And so that is also very exciting for the advertiser, because if they're selling 4,000 SKUs, they want all of those 4,000 to be as competitive and available, sort of showing up in the right way for the shopper. But they didn't have the resources to be able to do that. And so we're seeing the sort of second scenario is really sellers going deep into their catalog by sort of products that they may not have been previously using video ads for. And the third use case that's really standing out to me is that you have a lot of advertisers that are starting more than one campaign with these videos. So going back to that scenario of A/B testing, where because we've sort of given them options of 6, ability to generate way more than that as well, they can now create more than one campaigns. And so over a third of the advertisers that are using this are creating more than 2 campaigns with these videos. And so for us, really the primary objective of what we set out to achieve is really coming across in the data, which is that we're allowing advertisers of all sizes to try video ads. We are allowing them to go much deeper into their catalog, that they than they may have been able to do in the past, and we're encouraging experimentation to really give the power to the seller to sort of understand what's performing better, what type of a narrative, what type of a video, what kind of a message is sort of resonating better with shoppers, so they can optimize their own ad spend. And so that's sort of that gives me a lot of promise for this tool, generally for our GenAI applications, because sort of in some way the adoption has really taken us by surprise as well, because it has been so well received in the market, sort of across sellers.
I mean, I think it's a real pain point for so many sellers, and so yeah, it's a really a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'm going to throw. Sorry to do this again. I'm going to throw another tough question. We're happy to move on to maybe one of Joe's if you don't want to answer it. But just curious, listening to this, do you guys have any metrics you can share about like the increased performance when you have an AI generated ads from your new tool?
Yeah, the sort of performance is now slowly getting measured, because as we launch this tool, it takes a few weeks for that to come through. But from our initial beta testing that we have been doing, we're seeing that these videos are very, very performant, at par with sort of what may be provided by the advertiser. And so but we'll learn more in the coming weeks. And the advantage of really this sort of Gen AI technology is that we have the ability to tweak once we understand what types of videos advertisers are choosing, what are they optimizing for. We have the ability to go back and then continue enhancing our models as well to really optimize for that. But let me give you a few examples of the conversations that I've been having with advertisers.
Yeah.
I was recently talking to a seller, a small two-person shop, two dads that started a baby products brand. Once they became dads, they didn't like the type of products that were available, and so they started off with their own company. And they were amazed at how this tool can unlock opportunity for them, because amongst other things, they didn't have the budget to create videos, but also that babies don't make very good video models, models for videos. And so they didn't have a way to create videos. As a result, could actually never launch video ads. And they were really amazed at how this technology was going to help unlock a whole new, sort of marketing opportunity for them. Similarly, I sort of had a conversation recently with a very large Fortune 500 brand that has an extremely long lead time. They spend months and months creating videos, very, very costly, and they don't know if at the end of that investment, if it's going to bear fruit or not. And they said that, hey, why don't we use a tool like this to do some early testing on concepts before we choose to invest all of that time, energy, and money to have sort of our regular video generation workflow. So we're really seeing so many different scenarios where lowering the barrier to entry, making it simpler to create videos, within 3 to 4 minutes, really unlocks opportunities for sellers, that some of which we had known about, but others really are, sort of sellers also finding opportunities for themselves.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I know from like a lot of friends in the space who are in the baby or kids category that especially babies are difficult. Like even if you have real babies, it's actually very difficult to like take pictures of babies and for them to look good. No offense to the babies, but it's sometimes difficult to get them to
just
smile.
The reality.
Yeah.
I was going to say one of my favorite Jeffisms or Jeff Bezos quotes is, if your data disagrees with your anecdotes, there's something wrong with your data. So just hearing the anecdotes it's a really strong signal. Even sometimes better than knowing.
Absolutely.
It can be measured in many different ways but I guess, yeah, like how do you see advertising changing in the next like 10 years or so on Amazon ads?
10 years is a long time duration, particularly in the exciting world of Gen AI. And so it'll be hard to project out where overall the technology would be in 10 years. But I can say that, in the next 12 to 18 months, really our objective is to simplify ad creation. And so we are doing that when it comes to creatives for images, videos, but we really see that sort of playing out across the advertising creation workflow. And so that could be in the area of optimizing, personalizing, targeting. But the message from sellers and advertisers is quite clear, which is that make it simpler for us to create high performing ads that really optimize for our ad spend. And so I really see at various touch points throughout that workflow us being able to use the power of Gen AI to sort of simplify that for sellers and advertisers. And so I think that vision and that objective remains sort of fixed as the optimization function. On top of that, I also see that the quality of what our models produce will just keep improving. And so similarly in the area of creatives, the types of outputs that we produce, the sort of duration of output, increasing photorealism, all of that, we'll just continue pushing the boundary, really sort of staying on top of on top of the science, but at the same time always keeping the pulse to what the advertiser and what the seller wants, and sort of working backwards from their needs, because that's really what makes sort of a winning product, I would say. So that's where I think that we will be in the next 12 to 18 months. 10 years is sort of as much of a guess of anyone else as mine, just sort of given how quickly this sort of technology is evolving.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I can't believe where we were, well, 24 months ago, like,
Right.
and now where we are, it's really crazy. Even just half a year, sometimes I think, did that already exist? And most of the time is, we didn't. So like, even if you just go, when it comes to AI years, it feels like they are multiplied by 10. Actually going back to, yeah, like, inferring from that question, what is on your roadmap? Like, what are you cooking aside from the video generator for sellers? Because I think this is the thing, like Amazon sellers are so keen to optimize their business using AI, and you guys are
Yeah.
providing the tools, so they will be absolutely excited to hear what else have you planned.
So I think that one is continuing to launch improvements to our Gen AI tools, image generator, video generator. I think that, like I mentioned, there is so much that we will continue innovating as the science progresses. And so I really would encourage, this is a message that I often give to brands and give to sellers, is to actually continue interacting with these tools, because the underlying technology is just constantly improving. Every few weeks we launch improvements that may or may not be explicitly known, but it is baked into the generation. And so as time progresses, you will continue to see improvements to sort of this sort of foundational infrastructure technology. And so really the areas of focus will be, how do we bring your products to life even more? How do we make sure that as a brand we are doing what we we are doing what we can to honor brands sort of branding guidelines, how they like to how they envision their brand, and we really bring that to shoppers because we want to retain sort of how brands view themselves and how they want to be communicated in their marketing, advertising. I think the other area of, say, sort of investment will also be, like Max also mentioned, how do we reduce hallucinations to make sure that everything that we're producing sort of brings those products to life while really retaining the fidelity of the products themselves. And then, given the response that we've gotten for this product, it's really reaffirmed our belief that launching Gen AI products to make creative simpler will be something that sellers and brands will really resonate with. And so you have to just keep your eye out and sort of wait and watch on sort of all the other innovations that come out. But I can really tell you that there's a lot in the pipeline, also particularly because of the strong response we've seen here. And then, like I mentioned, simplifying ad creation for the other parts of the workflow as well. We do fully recognize the amount of effort that advertisers put in that, and are really committed to helping simplify the other aspects, non-creative aspects of sort of the ad workflow.
So should we be awaiting some very interesting announcements on Accelerate this year then?
You will hear more when the time comes, but we are hard at work to really sort of democratize advertising across the board.
He doesn't give away anything, Max. He's very good at it.
I just booked my ticket for Accelerate a few days ago, and my plane and my hotel, so I'm very excited, and I will definitely be there front row.
Amazing.
Listening to the latest drops. I want to, if it's okay, I want to talk a little bit more about like Amazon and like frontier AI. So you kind of, obviously AWS has released Nova, which is kind of their frontier model. I assume when you say you're using your own models, Nova would be the one that you guys are using. Kabir is nodding for those listening, but maybe can't confirm. I guess, do you think Amazon is a little bit discounted and not given enough respect in this kind of like frontier AI race? We don't hear much about Amazon's models.
I think I'll just go back to my previous point that we use a variety of models for all of the different use cases to create creatives, and so we really optimize for the right model for every sort of scenario. Some of those are also available on Amazon Bedrock. But taking your point, sort of broader than that, I think that Amazon as an organization has really invested in its principle of sort of customer obsession. And so that also comes in the form of where Amazon is investing in sort of Gen AI technologies. And I think Andy Jassy has spoken better than anyone, in my view, on just the various layers of where Amazon is investing, all the way from the foundational models to the end, sort of seller, advertiser, shopper applications, including also, sort of investments in Amazon's fulfillment center. So I really sort of see Amazon, being on the forefront, guided by, Andy's mental model that he's communicated in a variety of forums, including in his, sort of in his shareholders letter. But as an organization, the optimization function remains the same, which is working backwards from the customer in sort of all of those, and I think that really guides sort of our product development. So that's how I see it, that Amazon is really innovating on so many different layers within that Gen AI stack, that I don't see one over the other. It's really the sort of complete set that Amazon's pushing the needle forward in.
Yeah, I mean, we don't give investment advice on this podcast, of course, but I hold about 95% of my Amazon shares, and I truly believe that they are. I think they're really discounted in this AI race, and the reason is everybody is building on AWS. We're building on AWS. It has all the
Yeah.
security features. It has all of the, you know, it has a classic marketplace thing of Amazon's own models like Nova. It has Stable Diffusion. It has Flux. It's all the latest models, all the Anthropic models as well. So it's just, they are the platform on which people are building in this AI revolution. And everyone looks at,
Yeah.
oh, Grok has just released something which is 2% smarter on a physics, you know, PhD exam than OpenAI or whatever it would be. But it's missing the point that actually, like, anyone who's building this is going to be an AWS customer or a Google customer or a Microsoft customer. But out of the three platforms, AWS is miles, like, you know, miles ahead. It's the first one and is the most advanced.
You know, let me bring this back to a point that I previously made about you know, sort of video generator, because this will give you some insight. We are learning so much from incorporating Amazon's insights into our video generation models, and that means that when the seller or the advertiser generates a video, we understand how that product is used, where it's used, what's a common value proposition for that product. And sellers are really valuing that insight, because they trust that we have been selling products for decades and understand so much about these products. And you know, and I think that's a very key differentiator that is worth calling out repeatedly, because that incorporating those insights into the generations means that the output, those videos, are a lot more reflective of those products. They are more likely to understand what's the target audience for that product, or what's the context with, you know, sort of within which that product is used. So, for example, if you are selling a high-end watch, perhaps the output of that looks different than if you're selling a sports watch. And understanding insights about the product allows for our models to then generate different types of videos for those different products. And I think that is you know, for me, such a differentiator when I talk to brands and sellers, that they get very excited about that, because they trust that Amazon has all of that insights that they themselves want to be baked into their you know, sort of videos for their products.
So you guys have the data moat as well as the platform, is what you're saying, which is why I mean, Amazon is such a good place to you know, in this AI race, and it's been thinking about AI for 20 plus years, you know, where a lot of these new companies have come in the last 5-10 years or so.
Yeah, I just want to actually like pick up on the point of you having a lot of data about the customer, and just from this early test with the video generator, have you done any A/B tests in terms of just you know, a normal kind of advertiser provided video versus the generations that you guys are already running? Like, have you seen any sort of performance comparisons, and just generally, how is the customer on Amazon like interacting with these videos?
Yeah, sure. So I think that, you know, like I mentioned, the priority for us here was really first to unlock, democratize, lower the barrier of entry. And so really our primary objective was to help folks who don't have any video ads, or who are only creating for a very handful of products, to allow them the opportunity to really, you know, sort of go after a completely new advertising channel. And so I think that's the primary goal. And that, like I mentioned previously, that goal is really getting fulfilled from the lens that north of you know, sort of half of the products that are getting advertised with this tool are products that have never been advertised using video ads before. And so I think that will continue to be our you know, area of focus, just because the need is so high. We hear from so many brands and you know, sellers that they haven't been able to try video ads at all. I think the other area, when it comes to testing, that we really want to do is there are lots of different AI techniques that we're baking in, and so
Mhm.
there are AI techniques wherein we can take advertisers' existing images and convert those into videos, and sort of help
Mhm.
create video ads through that. There are AI techniques where we can generate net new videos of our own that have absolutely no usage of the assets provided by the advertiser, and so many other techniques like that. And so a lot of our efforts are also trying to find what's the right blend of what type of technique to utilize where for what product, what is going to
Mhm.
lead to the best quality outcome. And that's where also sort of generating six allows us to
Yeah.
give advertisers those options as well. And so all of those six need not utilize the same underlying AI technology. They can be utilizing different AI technologies, so that then advertisers really have the power and the control to, one, decide what they want to move forward with, or two, decide that they want to try multiple and see what works. And so I think a lot of our work is really on giving optionality to advertisers, unlocking opportunities for them, and then seeing where they take this forward for their brands. And so that's where I would say a lot of our sort of testing, experimenting efforts
Mhm.
are getting directed on identifying different AI opportunities, AI technologies, and then sort of showcasing that variety to advertisers.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Kabir, I know you're a busy man, and we can't keep you too long. But I just have one more question. We talked a lot
Sure.
about AI generation and in the video space, but of course you spent a lot of time working at Alexa. So I don't know if
Yes.
from that previous AI wave and kind of voice AI, if you had any reflections about how that went, or how customers kind of adapted to kind of AI shopping through Alexa during your time there, that you can share with the audience.
Yes, you're taking me way back down the memory lane. Back in about 2017, I launched Alexa, Amazon's voice assistant, in the Amazon shopping app on mobile, on iPhone and Android, and it was a very exciting, sort of opportunity back then, because it was the first time Alexa was coming out of the home. Prior to that, Alexa was only available through Alexa devices that were in the home. And so this was a completely new use case for, how would customers interact with voice outside. Since then, so much has changed in the world of voice. And so back then, sort of the underlying technology was a lot more, sort of primitive for voice. That's evolved over the last 8-9 years considerably. I think the number of use cases and also just how comfortable sort of customers are interacting with voice has really increased. And so I don't work on Alexa anymore personally, but I'm super excited for just how Alexa as a product is also incorporating Gen AI into the opportunities and the use cases that is going to unlock. And so, sort of really, really rooting for it from the sidelines. But for me, my time working on Alexa in the Amazon app was really a moment of a 0 to 1 innovation, and also an example of just Amazon really pushing the boundary, wherein taking a sort of voice assistant into a shopping app that had not been done within the Amazon ecosystem before, and then sort of building upon it, and sort of continuing to invest, embracing the new technology. And now I think kind of voice as a platform is just has unlocked so many more use cases. And so I would encourage folks to give it a try. It is still available in the Amazon app. There's a mic icon in the top navigation that folks should try to sort of fulfill whatever they want to do with voice.
Awesome. Kabir, this was such an interesting discussion. Thank you so much for coming and being our guest and sharing everything. Question to you, if Amazon sellers and do video too, how should they do this?
Absolutely. So, they should go to
Did you
their
guys catch me?
Yep.
they should go to the Amazon advertising console, and there are a variety of different ways to engage with our GenAI applications. One is in the left navigation of the advertising console, they will see creative tools, and there they will see options to ingress into image generator, also into video generator. And so those are, sort of, if they want to play around with those. But also, while they're creating campaigns, sort of whether they're creating a sponsored brands image campaign or a sponsored brands video campaign, they will see options in the campaign creation tool to create GenAI creatives. And so I highly encourage sort of advertisers and sellers to try it through that channel as well. And otherwise, log on to Amazon Ads' blog. There is a constantly sort of new content getting published there, with some very exciting content that we also publish right around the Cannes Lions event. And so lots of different ways. Otherwise, just Google Amazon Video Generator, and I'm sure that you'll find it.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And thank you. Yeah. And thank you so much for our listeners for listening and also subscribing, liking, and engaging with us. Don't forget. Thank you very much. We love you all. And till next week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.